Turbo provides you one of the most reliable ways of uploading your data on Arweave. But on top of helping you upload your data on Arweave, there are some extra functions that you might need while developing your application to give that extra nice user experience to your users or display some type of data. So let's look at these helper functions or extra functions that you might need to use. But first, you need to install the Turbo SDK. In my case, I already have it installed. I don't need to install it twice. But here's how you do it: npm install at /turbo SDK. Once you have that installed, you can now jump right here in your VS Code or whatever editor you use, and we can start looking at these functions. But then first thing first, you need to import Turbo, and we'll import Turbo Factory from the SDK. Once you have Turbo Factory, you need to create the instance. So I'm just going to say here turbo equals turbo factory dot unauthenticated. So because we're going to use the unauthenticated functions, and these functions are the functions that Turbo provides you without the need to involve a wallet or without the need to involve a signer. So once you have Turbo initiated, the next thing we do is we start looking at some of those functions. And the very first I want to explore is to see the type of currencies that Turbo accepts. So if you don't know which currencies are accepted, you might just look that up. You can do currencies. And since we are, in this case, we are in a Node.js environment, you can just do a top level await. But all these functions are also available in the browser. So you do turbo dot get supported currencies, right? You try it here, get supported currencies, and we can log this to see the currencies that are supported. Just so, for example, in your UI, if you want to show the different currencies that are supported to your user, here's the function you can use, and know that nothing is going to fail. So let's try to log that and see what currencies those are. You give it a second, and all the currencies are here in this object, and you can see their limit and their parameters that you can explore further. But you can see here, I think I recognize some of these currencies. These are euros, these are British pounds, Singaporean dollars, US dollars. I think these are Japanese yen. These are Canadian dollars. And yeah, so these are the supported currency for the users who want to upload data to Arweave using Turbo and want to use fiat, right? And so, like, for example, in your UI, you can display all these currencies and let the user pick the currencies that they want. So we clear this, we come back here. There is another quick function here that I want to show you guys. You might probably not need to use this, but it's nice to know that it exists as well. It's called so this, it's called get supported countries, and this is to just maybe try to show your users, if they are not in a country that supports fiat upload using Turbo. So I'm going to say supported countries is going to be equal to get supported countries, and I'm going to log the supported countries just to see what comes back. So you do the same again, index.js. And yeah, you can see here there is a list of 100+ countries that are supported. So maybe you want to show the user, depending on their location, if they have the ability to upload to Turbo from their country and using fiat and all that, right? The next function here, these are just some basic function or helper functions. As you can see, they just help you do that extra thing that is not directly uploading data on Arweave. And also we shall cover the functions that are really related to uploading data only in another video, so watch out for that when it comes out. So yeah, the next function we'll look at, it's called fiat. So I'm just going to name it fiat. And what this does is it gets you the amount of currency that you need for one hour, right? So let me just show you that in practice. It's called turbo.get fiat to R, and here it accepts one parameter, which is the currency, and then the currency you can use here just a second. The currency that you can use here is one of these supported currencies. So in my case, I'm just going to use USD for the simplicity of that, right? And I'm going to log this to see what comes out. Yeah, I'll still need to use this same console log. Just log fiat, and I run this again. Yeah, as you can see, this is the USD amount that you need to get 1 AR. And so this can be useful for the users to know maybe what amount of AR their money is going to cost, right? So for example, I'm just thinking here on top of my mind, if you're trying to let user pay using USD, right? And they probably want to just know on the UI how many AR that gets them, you can use this function, and that will give you the amount of AR you need for your currency. And so moving on, there is another function that is almost similar to currencies here, but what this function does is it gets you the amount in each currency of uploading 1 gigabyte of data to Arweave using Turbo. So it's going to show the amount, like all these currencies, their amount to upload 1 gigabyte. I don't know if that makes sense. So I'm just going to name this amount, and it's going to be await turbo dot get fiat rates. So this is going to be an array. This array is going to bring back all the currencies and how much, or the amount of each currency to upload 1 gigabyte of data to Arweave. So you'll see probably for the dollar is about, for the US dollar is going to be about probably 18, I think, $18. For the Singaporean dollar should be around 22, 23. Anyways, let me just see the right amounts that get output rather than speculating on that. So if I run this, we should see an array that brings back all that data. Yeah, so you can see this is the amount of Winston credit that is needed to upload 1 gigabyte. And then you can see that in all these fiat currencies. Yeah, as I said, that USD it's around $18. Let me look for the Singaporean dollar, should be around 23. Yeah, it's right here, should be around 23. And all the rest of them, you can see roughly how much it will cost you to upload 1 gigabyte using Turbo. And this is a very nice function you might need to use if you're trying to probably like show a sort of calculator, right? Moving on, the next function we'll cover is similar to the function we've just covered here, but rather than outputting all the rate of all the currencies and only for 1 gigabyte, this is a little bit more flexible. You choose the currency you want, and you also choose the amount of data you want. So it's not only limited to 1 gigabyte, but you can just play with the bytes. So I'm going to say here USD amount for bytes. Yeah, I'm not good at naming variables, but yeah, you'll take that for that. And it's going to also be turbo. It's called get fiat. Yeah, get fiat estimate for bytes, and this takes in a couple of parameters. And the first thing is the byte count, right? The byte count is essentially the number of bytes you want to upload. In this case, let's say if we want to upload 1 gigabyte again, we need to do times 10 24 times 10 24 again to have times 10 24. Yep, that is 1 gigabyte. And the currency here, we can stick to USD. And so if we log this amount, it should give us something around $18 as we saw right here. Again, I tried to run that, and it should give us something close to this 17.97. Yeah, as you can see here, the amount is 17.98. So this is rounded a little bit. You can see the currency is byte. I mean, sorry, the currency is USD, and the byte count is here. But also you can see the Winston credit that are required to upload 1 gigabyte. And so let's try to change this a bit, and maybe we only want 10 megabytes, 100 megabytes or 10 megabytes. With this same currency, we're not changing anything. I save that. I run the function again. Just give it a second. You can see the amount that is required is 0.18, right? And you can play with it depending on the amount that you want to put here. All that depends on you. I just wanted to show you that this sort of function to help you estimate the amount before uploading exists. And also, you can use this for different things. Maybe you're like, hey, I want to use this function to check if the data or the bytes count of the data that they want to upload is not greater than the amount they hold in their wallet. Otherwise, I don't even want to allow them to upload that data in the first place because it's going to fail. So you can see how these helper functions can be integrated in your applications. Moving on, the next function we're going to explore is a similar function to the one we've just seen, but a little bit simplified. And it gets an array here, and I'm going to destructure the array later, but let me just create the function. It's called get upload cost, if I'm not mistaken. And you do the same thing here. You specify the byte count. You specify the byte count, and you specify this in an array this time around. Let's try to say this same amount here. Right, you do it that way. But then the good thing here is you can have many byte count, right? So let's say this is one file. You can as well add a second file, and probably let's do this, right? And so what you'll get here is you'll get price, maybe cost 1. Let me just name it this way: cost 1 and cost 2. And you can just log them down, right? So I'll log both of them so that you can see how they are different. So we have cost 1, and the next console log is going to have cost 2. And you can put a whole array of files and determine how much each of those files is going to cost you to upload. Okay, I come back here, clear the console. I run the function again. You should see 2 different logs there. Yeah, right. So you can see the first one is here. This is the amount of Winston credit that is required to upload the first function. And this is the amount of credit that is required to upload the second. And as you can see, the difference in Winston credit is almost comparable to the difference in byte size, right? And so you can use this function to determine the price of different files that you need to upload all at once. Okay, moving on the next function. This function also returns an object, and we shall destructure the object later. I just want to create the function first. It's called create checkout session here, and it receives a couple of parameters. The first one is going to be the amount, and there is a nice function provided by our SDK to change some amount to US dollars. So if I save, for example, $20 like that, that is going to adapt it to what Stripe expects, and also add the currency. In this case, the currency is going to be USD that way. And you can see this function USD was brought up here from the Turbo SDK. So there is a couple of things here that this function returns. I think it returns the Winston credit. Yep. The second thing we probably care about is the URL, because if you're using this and creating that checkout session, you need to have the URL so that you can paste the URL in the browser, right? With that said, let's try to log here these two. I'll log the Winston credit that are going to be credited to us. I'm also going to log the URL to the Stripe checkout page. One last thing that you need to add to this that is very, very crucial, it's the owner. And the owner is going to be the address to which the amount is going to be credited. And this should be your wallet address. So I'm going to paste some random wallet address here. So yeah, there you go. And now, with that, you have everything you need to have your checkout URL. And if I save this, clear the console, run this again. I'm just going to run this, and you should see all those values being output. So yeah, The first one is the Winston amount that is here. And the second one is this whole URL, which is the Stripe URL. If you paste this in your browser, you're going to be redirected to a Stripe checkout session where you can buy credits, and the amount that you specified should be the amount there, and your credit are going to go to the address you specified here. But then here's an extra thing to be aware of. In this case, for example, since Turbo can have Solana wallets, can also have Polygon wallet, can have Ethereum wallets. You can do something right different here where you specify the token. So for example, if you specify a token here as let me say, yeah, as Ethereum maybe. So if you specify the token as Ethereum here, you have to make sure that the address that you add here is an Ethereum address. If you change this to Solana, yeah, I think Solana is supported. Let me just see what this brings us. Solana, yeah. If you put here Solana, make sure you put down here your Solana public key. But then if you leave it empty, so this, if you leave this empty, it will pick Arweave, and in that sense, you can put here your Arweave app wallet address. You can put here your Connect wallet address. In this case, this is Connect wallet address. So you save that, and yep, you just make sure to always be keen with that. So yeah, these are the main functions that you might need to use without the need to involve a wallet. As you can tell, we didn't involve a wallet anywhere here, and that's why it's called unauthenticated, right? Because it doesn't need any sort of authentication with any wallet. So these ones you can just plug in them right away and start using them. There are two extra functions that I didn't cover here that I've never come across really any scenario where I've used them or anyone has used them. But if you really want to look at them, you can go to the RIO docs, right, at docs.ar.io, and you'll find more information about those two remaining functions that I didn't cover. I just wanted to cover these that I feel like most people don't know about, but they should probably be using them, especially in their UIs, to like sort of have some nice extra UX. So with that said, watch out for the second part of the video in this series where we're going to cover Turbo Authenticated, and that way will involve a wallet, and I'll show you how to involve different types of wallets, Ethereum wallets, Polygon wallets, and all those type of wallets. So watch out for that. And with that said, I'll see you in the next one.